Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Digital Gate Studios production. Jesse, the return of an old classic.
It's a green deck.
Your rare venture into my territory.
This is true. This is true. They've spoiled it. We have a green-only tournament coming up, I think, as a celebration for the Terriermon Advanced deck, right? So this is pretty close to what I think I'm going to be attempting in that. Obviously, we have a couple months to, finalize, complete, whatever you want to call it, your submission for that tournament. Kind of similar to the Beelzemon celebration we had, right? So this is kind of my foyer into green on the channel. If you haven't seen one of our better viewed videos, this is my green Gatcha deck. And so I've decided to pull that out of my repertoire and try and tune it in for the upcoming tournament. So,
without jamming Vmon.
Without jamming Vmon and the jam. Yeah, that's how old that video is. That was my draw engine. So
back in the day.
I've been educated. I've been
we digivolve these days.
Been inspired. We digivolve into stacks these days, and with training cards and a bunch of other cool stuff, we can do it for cheap. So let's jump into it. One thing I was surprised about, because I was so into the old Megazoo way to play the game, was the support that green inherently has in its lower level Digimon 4 at the level 5s. So much that I just found the best egg, which is obviously the Koromon, the BT7 Koromon. So this one kind of snuck under the radar for a lot of people, just in the fact that if you don't know what Gatcha does, the level 5 swing and you reveal the top 3. If there's a level 6 green, you can digivolve for free, and that is the only stipulations, is that it's a green level 6.
A lot of our newer viewers are seeing these cards for the first time.
Yes. So Koromon is a when attacking, not once per turn, that reveals the top card of your deck, and you can either keep it at the top or put it at the bottom, which seems like a black thing, right? Like a black card option, because that is kind of what they've been doing of late, is adding those to adding top and bottom deck manipulation. But this is a great card for the deck, and it kind of lets your
it makes your top 3, top 4.
Yeah,
basically.
Absolutely. So, and it comes in handy a little bit late game too, when you're trying to figure out if you want to digivolve or not, and you're able to use this with a different stack. So really good card. This deck does utilize the Mimi aspect, which manipulates your breeding area. So I have found that you do need a 5th egg, and this one is kind of dealer's choice, whatever you want to do. I went with the old tried and true Argomon. I really like this card. We do go into 6s, we do go into 7s, and a lot of decks, particularly just colors that can't deal with big DP, can't deal with them.
Yeah.
And so you are...
They're going to unsuspend and get that memory.
Absolutely. And, it's got a great alt art. So
it's true.
What are you going to do? You can run the Gummymon, I think was the other option.
You could go you could go Gummymon for the draw. You could go Tanamon for the DP. But I think Argomon is perfectly fine. Usually are not short on DP in this list.
Right.
Which we'll get to.
First off, we're going to jump into some rookies. And I know one-cost Evo rookies are
kind of a little bit of a faux pas.
A little bit of a sour taste, But I have found that choking your opponent if you're going first at 1 is not a bad call. Typically because we do run a one-cost champion. So we're okay on that. But this card is... It is the MVP.
The old Kokuamon.
You don't see a lot of decks with BT1 cards in them nowadays. This card is a 1-cost Evo, and it gives typically. So what we're doing is we're swinging with the 5, but always attacking at a level 6. So sec +1 on a rookie. It's really hard to beat that.
Yeah, if this card costs 0 to Evo, it'd probably be in every green deck.
Yeah. Let's move into our next rookie. We play 3 of the BT11 Agumons. This card is just generally good because it is a 0-cost Evo. 3-cost hard play, which doesn't come up very often because you're not typically looking for a Mimi. Mimi helps your win con. It doesn't define it.
Yeah.
But having 2k DP, if you are swinging and whiffing, feels better because you're attacking with a 7k or a 9k instead of a 5 and a 7.
Yep.
Agu, it's still good. The rookies in this are kind of subjective. This one, I've kind of gone back and forth.
Yeah.
We do play a lot of search in the deck. But having your search tied into a Digimon actually kind of helps this deck quite a bit. So we do run 3 of the new Kunamons. This card, it's really situational, but sometimes it can really dig you out of a bad spot because the thing that stops this deck from working is running out of the cards you need.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And a lot of the time also, you're really trying to cherry pick your level 4s because they are so important. One is drastically better than the other. One is a turbo card and the other one defines the deck.
Yes.
This one, if you have time and your opponent's bricking, this one grants you a little bit more forgiveness if you're trying to find the perfect stack and you know you have time to do it. I really like this card. If it is your only rookie, who cares? Let's just get that stack going.
Yep.
But typically, you're going to keep this in your hand. Use it as a searcher if you're trying to find your pieces that you need. The best thing about this is it doesn't define a Digimon card.
It says green
this
card.
Can grab your boosts, your trainings, your
Tamers.
Digimon, your tamers, whatever you need. Yeah, it's really good. Now we get into some of the defining decks for the card, or divining cards for the deck. Sorry. Let's go into Tortomon. This card is the card you're searching for. This could be a card that you mull for if you're really, if you're on game 2 against your opponent, you know what they're playing. I would mull for this card. This card makes the deck absolutely 10 times stronger. This card evos for 2, plays for 4, so it's already cheap. Doesn't have any evo effect on play, but the inheritable is insane. So when attacking, take a card from your hand and put it on the top of your deck. By doing that,
wait, you would just want that effect, period.
Yeah.
But on top of doing it,
it gives you 3k.
Amazing.
And on top of that, it's not once per turn.
That's right.
So you can make your Digimon huge. If you're having trouble with these, I can't deal with Wargrey. He's a 16, 17k blocker.
Easy money.
Who cares?
Delicious.
Doesn't matter. Because you're going to hit him on your second swing.
Yeah.
For 23,000.
We're unsuspending on our level 6s a lot of the times.
A lot of the times, yeah. So this card is absolutely amazing for this deck. There are also instances where you hard play it for 4 if you're trying to there's a lot of good things that happen with this card. So this is a mandatory 4 of in the deck.
Agreed.
Now we get into kind of a situational one because we are trying to get up into our 5s fast, because if you can get to your 5s fast and evo into a 6 for free, you're beating your opponent on 2 different things. So we are jumping into 4 of the old tired but true Stingmons. 1 cost evo, and when you delete a Digimon in battle, gain a memory. So we don't run a whole lot of blocker or anything like that in the deck, but we are trying to pierce our opponent.
We're going to attack our opponent's Digimon.
And you wouldn't play this in the deck if it wasn't a 1 cost evo, but it is. And that is also what helps you with your second stack. I mean, we're running Mimis, so we're hatching extra eggs, we're promoting extra Digimon. Passing turn at 1 is definitely a strategy to win with this deck, because you're able to get into the 5 so cheap. We run memory boost and we run Mimis. So starting our turn at 3 with a level 4 gives us room to digivolve into our level 5s and swing, guaranteed from raising, which is what we need to do.
Well, one of the weaknesses of putting your opponent to 1, and I know that sounds pretty weird. Oh, I choked them to 1. What is the weakness? The downside is they go rookie 4 and pass you right back to 1.
Right.
So if you evoed 1 Kokuamon and they pass you back at 1, the Stingmon means you can go into the Stingmon and then into the level 5 in the raising.
Yeah,
and
then
really
you're
nice.
and then you're ready to go
Ready
without
to go
a tamer.
next turn.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we do play 1 more level 4 in the deck, and it comes up more than you would think. We do run 1 hybrid. We run 1
Arbor for game?
Arbor for game, but not always, because we do gain a lot of memory in this deck with one of our particular level 6s. So if you have 5 memory and a tamer on board, if you have this, it sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much because we play so many boosts. Or if you have a training card for your level 5 to go on top of this for 1, you can get into some trouble with your opponent, especially if you're out of your eggs or whatever. But being able to digivolve for 2, go for 3 into a one of the level 5, swing, do the thing again, because a lot of times you'll have a Tortomon in your big stack and you'll be able to manipulate a card for a different stack by swinging with that stack, being able to put a card on top, not necessarily for the card you're swinging with, but because you know that
For the
you're going
other
to
stack.
blindly swing with another one,
Yep.
and you'll be able to stack your deck. So it's really fun. So let's get into those level 5s. They are pretty obvious. From the last video, you should know we run four, not 5, because you can't run 5.
Oop.
4 Mame Tyramons. It's amazing. Swing, look at top 3, Evo into a 5 or a 6 for free. It's
Amazing.
It's too good. So good that
They
it
did
was
it
the
twice.
it was the second time they printed it. And they did it for a cheaper on play. So they just made it 2K weaker, and essentially Yagumon's the exact same thing, except it evos for the same amount, it plays for 7, just a little higher DP.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't come up that often, but you play 4 and 4 because these are the cards that are required for the deck to operate for sure.
Yep.
So now the fun part of the deck, the difficult part of the deck.
Yep.
And this is where I kind of leave the deck, aside from the memory boosts and the trainings. Those are kind of mandatory with the deck too. This is kind of where I leave the deck as a template.
Yep.
Because you can pick your 6s and your 7s based off whatever your favorite green tribal is.
Yep.
There's a way to play this with Rosemon. There's a way to play it with Imperial. And there's better way to play it coming soon with Imperial, because we get some really cool new support. But you can play this as a bottom template. Even manipulate the 3s if you want to. You could play Pomumons. Those are really good.
Yep.
But
Tortomon has to stay. The 5s have to stay.
Yeah.
The 3s and the other 4s I think are perfect. But the 6s,
Yeah.
that is your
And the
that's
eggs. These eggs have to stay. These are
the eggs have to
guaranteed
stay.
amazing. But yeah, no, the 6s are very open for interpretation.
Yep.
This is a really fun thing to just use as a base for green.
So what have you got, Jesse?
I have. So this is kind of the only throwback from the old video, because if you remember in the old video, I ran green red and green blue because I really like to be able to go to an OmniX. So we do stick with the Dino Rex because we do have a lot of decks in this format that play a lot of tamers.
Mm-hmm.
This one evos for free and gains memory for every tamer and suspends a body for every tamer. And once per turn, not just on your turn, all turns, when a 6K or less becomes suspended, delete it.
Yep.
It's almost like my blocker for the deck.
Yeah, if they're in a rookie rush strategy, the rookie swings and it explodes instantly.
Yeah, it's really good Ukamon, anti-Ukamon technology.
Yes.
Yeah. So I stuck with that because I really like that raw memory gain just on Evo for free. I mean, and especially with the Mimis and the Arbormon, there's a lot of ways to accelerate that.
Yep.
Next one is another throwback from the last video, just because it is so good at deleting bodies. If you're trying to get over a Quartzmon or a giant War Gray stack, we do still run 2 of the Grandis. These are kind of open for interpretation too, because we do have some more really aggressive cards coming in EX5. So stay tuned for the update. But this card, when it evos, normally would evo for 4, but evos for free, suspends a Digimon, and then since I'm already in mid attack, I can
switch the
swing at
attack.
it. This card was meant for the X antibody option on a Grand Coagumon, but it still fits the bill for this.
It's the same functionality with the level 5s.
And if there's an X antibody in the sources, which we do run, it does unsuspend, so it's really good. And once again, just so you remember, all of our level 6s should hopefully be swinging with 2 checks.
Yes.
Ideally with the Kokua, which is really aggressive if they unsuspend and swing again. We do have one more level 6 in the deck. This is one that I've been beating my head on the table over. We tried a couple other ones that fit more with the Dino Rex. We tried the Ebon Womon, which felt really clunky. It's not really aggressive. It gains memory, but it doesn't really do everything you want it to do. We did find out that the Saber Leo is definitely the way to go. This card has piercing, which is really strong in this format, or in this deck, because you're piercing, you're suspending their Digimon, you're unsuspending, and it gets huge with the Tortomon. The Agumon makes it bigger. Like it gets giant. The first check is usually for 15, and then the next 2 checks are for 18,000. It's really, really good. So that's kind of the lineup for the 6s. It's mostly aggressive. Let's kill Digimon. The Dino Rex is more of a control if you're playing against like a Crossheart deck,
Rookie
Rush, anything where they're going to be swinging with bodies that are 6K or less. Dino Rex is the way to go.
Yeah.
So we do play level 7s in the deck. And if you remember from the last video, we did the Omni X's. That was our level 7. We also did like Valder Arms and stuff like that. But we have finally good green level 7s.
Yeah,
we,
for sure.
We do. We have Quartzmon and we have Rosemon Burst Mode. And I think Rosemon Burst Mode really felt like the way to go in this deck because we are all of these level 6s suspend Digimon. Dino Rex suspends a lot of Digimon if they have a lot of tamers. But this is the control for the deck. This is the way to you do your big swing, you take 4 checks with the Saber Leomon, and then you save yourself for another turn. You pretty much stop them from doing what they can do with the burst mode, and then you promote another stack and you do it again. You know, hopefully you have a lot of memory boosts saved up and Mimis out on the field, and you can really accelerate by tapping the Mimis and just promoting more bodies, more bodies, and more bodies.
Yeah,
so.
the benefit to the Rosemon versus the Quartzmon is twofold. The first is that we're killing Digimon in this deck, so we're not going to have as many targets for the Quartzmon, as well as we're not having that wide of a board.
No,
so we're not benefiting off the Quartzmon as much.
Yeah.
And the second is the Rosemon is not stunning our own Mimi. So double tap Mimi is a lot of ways to get more aggression in this list, and Rosemon allows you to do that while it's still active.
Yeah, and the lingering thing about the Quartzmon too is if they de-digivolve it, if they remove it, that effect is moot. It's gone. This is a blanket for a turn. Saves you a turn, but on the next turn, if they can't out this, you're probably at least trashing 1 security and checking 2 because of the Kokuwa. So. Really good. And it's a 15k security bomb, which is never a bad feeling if they're swinging with the Death X, thinking they're doing well. So we're going to run 3 of the Mimi. This card is really good.
Best setter in green.
Best setter in green. Accelerates the deck. It gives it that quickness that it needs, especially if you get the Dino Rex off on a deck that has a lot of tamers like Cool Boys and whatever, a bunch of 2-cost security control that run a ton of Karis. Like, it can really help you accelerate what you're doing. And then just for the consistency in the deck, we run 4 of the green memory boost. I really like this card over the trainings as far as ratios go, just because you are looking for Digimon first in this deck. Everything else is pretty much secondary. There's nothing. The Mimis aren't essential. You're evoing into the 6 is the essential part. But it's really good for accelerating the turn. Also, this deck essentially needs to start your turn. You basically set up your raising to start your turn at 3 to evo into the Mame. So having a green memory boost guarantees you start at 3. Having a Mimi guarantees you start at 3. Everything else, secondary. And it digs 4. When you're digging for the piece you need, you want to dig 4. If you're looking for the Tortomon, you want to dig 4. That being said, you can only play 4 of those.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where the Kunamon comes in as well, because that will help you grab pieces, as well as 2 agility trainings. These are good because they're cheap. If you do have your Mimi out, you can drop 2 of these, still set your opponent to 1 if you have them. It's just kind of a backup for the green boost, but it grabs literally everything in the deck except for these last 2 options, and that is 2 X antibodies. This card is awesome.
Turns on your Grandis.
Turns on the Grandis, and it's a backup. So if for some reason, because you don't always have your Tortomon in your stack, so if you do have a Dino Rex or a Grandis in your hand, if you whiff with your Gatcha swing, if you don't hit the magic 4 cards from the top of your deck, you can still evo into your Dino Rex or your Grandis.
Is
on
Saber
swing.
Leo an X antibody?
It is not. The Dino Tigermon that goes on top of this, if you want to, you can mess with it if you want. It wasn't my favorite. Is. But yeah, that's the list. It's really fun. This is my fun deck. This is kind of something that I'm really working on. I think it's a good mirror for a lot of green decks. It's pretty quick when it kicks off. It's just all about that consistency and what you choose to put as the 6s. There's a couple inspirations we have for EX5 and BT16. So much that I almost want to build 2 complete different versions of this deck. So
right on.
It'll be it's
well,
it's a fun project.
Jesse, you know what's coming.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna get beat over the head with this. Where's the HPD?
Well, the people want to know.
You can play it. I would take out an agility training if you want to play it. My inspiration, or it's so clunky, I think, in this, because It doesn't help you find your pieces. It's
You
kind
don't
of a
have
dead-
two Digimon a lot of the time.
And I never have two Digimon. The only time I would have two Digimon is if I promoted the level 5, swung the level 5, evoed, and then I'm looking for my burst mode.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what the Kunamon's for. But the Kunamon plays and it has to suspend itself first before it can help me find that burst mode. So HPD doesn't necessarily help that because you're evoing into your 6 for free. So to get into your 7, you'd have to have another Digimon. It seems kind of clunky. So you could try it if you want to. It's a great card. This is just kind of a single stack. Do your best and then have another one ready and raising.
That's right.
The next turn. So yeah, thank you guys. This has been a really fun deck to build and a deck to update. It's been quite a while. But expect regular updates because I'm a big fan of this green only tournament coming up, surprisingly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned. We have a whole bunch of EX5 decks that are about to come out when the set comes out. We already know what cards we need from those boxes. Stay tuned for the unboxing. We have a whole new generation of decks on their way.
That's right.
And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.